Let's come together with the character that we are so proud of about who we are, which is we are an optimistic people. We are an optimistic people. Americans, by character, are people who have dreams.
Except for all those fascist, racist pigs that have to be destroyed because they're wrecking democracy. You know, just like 75 or 80 million of those. But other than that, fairly optimistic. It's kind of an optimistic environment. Kamala with Orca had her. What do you think that was worth in terms of dollar figures? The in-kind contribution by Orca to the Democrat Party's presidential campaign. And who'd they have? Sophie's Bad Choice was, she was one of the. And they had Bryan Cranston, right? He was in that meth TV show, that meth show. My best girl, she loves that meth TV show. Bryan Cranston. Who else? They had Ben Stiller. You know, I always wait until I hear what Ben Stiller has to say before I vote. Don't you? I think everyone does. Isn't that amazing? Just an amazing thing. Happy Friday to you and welcome. And there is a lot, there's a lot that's been going on. You see this reporter woman, where is she, at the New Yorker? And she has a close personal relationship with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to the point where the magazine has suspended her. And now she, who is married to another reporter, Ryan Lizza, they will only marry each other. It's an interbreeding kind of thing. And who would marry a reporter if you're not a reporter yourself? So Ryan Lizza is married to this woman who is a typist, one of the girls from the steno pool at the DNC, typing at the New Yorker, and she has a very close personal relationship with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. because she went to do a story on him, a profile on him, and they hiked in the woods and they hiked up a mountain, and they're so close that the magazine had to suspend her. But they say, oh, no, we're not having a sexual relationship at all. We just text each other. And that's why they suspended her. You can't believe what the magazine said. You can't believe what she said. You can't believe what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said because, you know, he's married to that woman. I'll get into this because it's kind of a fun story. Another reporter woman, I have been saying forever, they're sleeping with each other and they just want to have sex with the Democrat Party candidates. And this kind of, sort of, entirely looks like that. And I'll get into that because now Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's married to that lady from Curb Your Enthusiasm, and not his first marriage, and this reporter lady, it's a terrible story. They're saying, oh, no, we're just friends. It's the old we're just friends thing. That's what you tell your spouse when you're lying to them, I think. But we got that coming up. And just the news media and the Democrat Party, as usual, as behaving as they always behave. Isn't that amazing stuff? So we got that one coming up. Now, yesterday, our last hour on the air, we learned that a Democrat in Alaska had been arrested because he had threatened to murder 6 Supreme Court justices, and family members, too, because the Democrat Party, Chuck Schumer and the others and the news media, have whipped people up into such a frenzy that they, they want to murder. You'd think that they shot President Trump through the ear. They got another sniper outside the fence line at the golf course in West Palm Beach, Florida. And now we got a Democrat over here who is threatening to murder 6 members. You'll never guess which 6 members of the Supreme Court. One is a very racist attack, but they won't say who. They leave it to you to guess. It might be Ketanji Brown Jackson, who doesn't know what a woman is. But I doubt it because Democrats, they're the party of ropes and trees and lynching and the bullwhip and the plantation. I heard screaming and bullwhips cracking. That was the Democrat Party they were talking about there. But this guy threatening to murder 6 members of the Supreme Court on the heels of the assassination attempts on President Trump. And, of course, this is the party that sent the Bernie Sanders volunteer, James Hodgkins, and I'm not saying the senior members of the party dispatched him, but they inspired him through their vitriol and their hatred to show up and shoot Congressman Steve Scalise on a baseball field in Alexandria, Virginia. And of course, they rioted and looted and burned city after city after city and overturned police cars and attacked police stations and courthouses and the White House and set the Church of the Presidents on fire. They what else they do, Michael? They do a lot of violence and shooting and mayhem. The would-be assassin that showed up at Brett Kavanaugh's house that wanted to murder Brett Kavanaugh some time ago. You'd think after a while maybe the Democrat Party would have earned a reputation, bada boom, as a violent party, as a politically violent criminal party. Between Brett Kavanaugh and now this guy with six wants to murder six. The other guy at Brett Kavanaugh's house, he wanted to murder 3 Supreme Court justices. And where is he now? Is he running for office in his home state? Because, the Democrats love to take these people and run them for office. Yeah, Democrat Party is a violent, murderous, bloodthirsty lot. And they've got a long, long history of this, by the way, from Sheriff Bull Connor and Governor Orville Faubus and Governor George Wallace and the Democrat Party. They're not the good guys. Boy, are they not the good guys. Not by a long shot. So I want to talk about that a bit. I just talked about it some now. But the Democrat Party, I think they've earned a reputation. They deserve a reputation, and they ought to have. They do, in my mind, and in our radio studio, the Democrat Party does have the reputation that they've earned and that the reputation that they deserve as a violent, racist, criminal organization so often, so very, very often. I mean, honestly, how many politicians do you have to shoot? And, of course, it started with Abraham Lincoln way back when, the Democrat Party angry about having their slaves taken away from them. Democrat Party, amazing stuff. And speaking of the Democrat Party, who else do they love other than racists and mentally ill people and criminals? They do love criminals. They hate the police, and they love criminals. Amazing stuff. But they also... They hate Americans. Oh, yeah, that's one category of people they hate. They hate Americans. But you know who they love? They love illegal alien child rapists. That's the illegal alien child rapists. They're on the naughty or nice list. They're on the nice list for the Democrat Party because Congresswoman Nancy Mace introduced legislation yesterday in the House of Representatives, and this legislation would hold accountable illegal aliens in the country who have been nabbed for sex crimes, usually involving sexual assault, usually, but not always, on a woman, and very often on children. And Nancy Mace introduced this legislation that would deport illegal aliens that are sex offenders. When they commit sex crimes, we would deport them. Hey, wait a minute, you're an illegal alien, you're in the country illegally, and you came in illegally, and now you're here illegally, and then once here, you committed a sex crime or multiple sex crimes, and the bill went to the floor because Speaker Mike Johnson brought it to the floor for a vote, and all the Republicans voted in favor of the bill that would deport illegal alien sex offenders, right? Violence, and it's the bill, the Violence Against Women by Illegal Aliens Act. Is that an acronym, do you think? We got VAWBAI. I'm going to have to work on that, see if it's a good acronym. But it's the amazing thing is that 158 Democrats voted against the bill, which is an expression of their intent. It's an expression of their views. And the leftists, radical extremist leftists, are saying, oh, well, this bill was just posturing by the Republicans. Well, the Democrats revealed their posture, and 158 of them jumped to the defense of illegal alien sex criminals because Democrats love sex crimes. It reminds me of the Blazing Saddles thing when they're recruiting people for the raid on Rock Ridge. And they're getting all the bad guys, the rustlers and criminals of all kinds. Amazing stuff. But this is kind of the Democrat Party. Again, they've taken all the stuff that used to be comedy, and they've made it policy in the 21st century.
Qualifications.
Rape, murder, arson, and rape.
You said rape twice.
I like rape.
You do. Charming.
See, that's your Democrat Party on Capitol Hill yesterday. That's who they are. They're recruiting for the raid on Rockridge, and the Democrats, 158 of them, signed up with Mel Brooks' Blazing Saddles gang of Rough Riders. Just amazing stuff. So they got 158 votes in favor of illegal alien rapists because the Democrats are pro-rape. And it's rape, murder, arson, and rape, right? And the Democrats, they commit arson all over the place. They should have thrown looting in there because the Democrat Party loves looting. And who do you think shooting all these people in Chicago and Washington, D.C. and Baltimore? That ain't MAGA country, as Jussie Smollett might say, to paraphrase Jussie Smollett. Just amazing stuff. So that's a quite a remarkable story, that the Democrats, 158 of them, when asked, hey, would you deport illegal aliens that are busted for sex crimes against women? And they said, no, rape, murder, arson, and rape, because the Democrat Party is a nightmare to civilization. They're Hamas. They're our own personal Hamas. Just amazing stuff. Yeah, and I mentioned this New York Magazine reporter, Olivia Nuzzi. Her name is Nuzzi. Put on leave for, quote, personal relationship, end quote, with RFK Jr. Now, if they're just friends and they have a sandwich together every now and then, why would New York Magazine put her on leave? That's what I'm wondering. That's pretty strict policy they've got there, huh? Wow, you guys really are strict. What, do you run by nuns or something? I don't think that's the case. And she's married to Ryan Lizza, his name is Lizza, of, as it was that large African-American one. That's Lizzo. You think they're related? Could be a relation of any kind. I'm not sure. Ryan Lizza, he's having a bad day today because he's waking up to all these stories about how his wife, the New York Magazine reporter Olivia Nuzzi, is on leave, been put on leave against her wishes by New York Magazine because of her, quote, wink, wink, personal relationship with RFK Jr. For how long have I been talking about this? This is the relationship between the Democrat Party. And this started last year before he jumped ship and went with Trump. She had to break it off after that. That's probably why they decided to suspend her, because RFK Jr. now supports Trump. That's probably what did her in right there. Amazing stuff. But again, Olivia Nuzzi, married to Ryan Lizza, having a bad day today. And because, boink, boink, and that's, what do you think, good journalism? She was performing acts of journalistic gratification upon him, apparently, so they had to suspend her. Amazing stuff. Yeah, and they're having a bad day, I'm thinking. And RFK Jr., he's married also to a woman. He's got a woman as a wife. And they're probably having a bad day, too, because of this personal relationship leading to a suspension. But they say, oh, no, it's not sexual. We just get suspended for talking to each other, because that's the thing. Don't run a black light over them, though, because that's pretty amazing stuff. And then the fake professor, the racists, the media racist pundit, Michael Eric Dyson, making extremely inappropriate advances toward Congresswoman Nancy Mace. He thinks he's gonna get some, and that's fine, because it's what Democrats do. This is how they spread monkeypox and other things like that. They're like that. And there's this crazy. You see this African American Republican in North Carolina, Mark Robinson. He's been accused of some pretty nasty stuff. He says it's not true, but he's a Republican, so he's toast before it begins. I've got that coming up. And a D.C. business owner chased out a Venezuelan Uber Eats delivery driver and was yelling at him to learn to speak English. So he's facing prison time, and the city's shutting down his business because he used harsh words toward a Venezuelan. Is he an illegal alien? The news media doesn't care because they're Democrats. They haven't even asked. Not a thing. And in California, the university police, they want more ammo, more guns, and more drones. That's got a lot of liberals really upset because they want to be able to riot against the Jews and burn and loot places without consequence. You know, they've gotten used to it. And why do they hate elephants in Zimbabwe, huh? In Chicago, they give all the illegal aliens in schools really good grades because they don't want to impede their progress in life, you know, headed into gang warfare. You need a Chicago public school education. Have that coming up. So they give them fake good grades because they're racists. It's the soft bigotry of low expectations. Let's grab a phone call, Michael. Let's go to Gary calling from Newton Falls, Ohio. Gary, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Chris, this is bucket list stuff. I'm really thrilled to speak with you. I'm your biggest fan, or certainly at least one of them. Hey, I want to get to what I'm doing, but I want to ask you a quick question first. Do you remember Kamala, the Ugandan giant, the wrestler?
Kamala, the Ugandan giant, a professional wrestler, only very vaguely. I remember when Kamala first came onto the scene that, the wrestler made a brief his name came back for a while. That is funny. I'm going to go look up Kamala, the wrestler, now.
Do yourself a favor. Hey, here's what I was getting at, though. That hog feeding with Oprah and Kamala, I didn't have the stomach to watch it. But I know that one of the things she said is that she got a gun. She's packing, and she will shoot me if I go into her house. Now, here's my question that I asked your screener. How many, when she was the district attorney of California, how many citizens of the state of California, legal gun owners, did she prosecute for doing exactly that?
Well, you know, she's not on the side of the Second Amendment, and she's been giving this, I own a gun, and Tim Walz owns a gun. He went to Iraq with it, and it's a weapon of war, and they lie about everything. If I had been Orca last night or anybody there, I would have asked her, well, what kind of gun do you own, and did you have a background check, and do you keep it under lock and key or in a safe in your home, and aren't you protected by the Secret Service?
And do you have more training than Alec Baldwin?
Maybe more training than Alec Baldwin.
I'm just saying.
Oh, you're absolutely right, Gary. You know, guns don't kill people. Alec Baldwin kills people.
Alec Baldwin does. A little trigger security, a little trigger discipline. You know, you'd learn that on the first day on the range.
You know, we have that. Yeah, keep your finger off the trigger. There's something you want to, you actually want to shoot. That is, I'm glad you brought it. This is a great call, Gary. I'm really glad you called in. I'm glad that you checked off something else on your bucket list, too. That's wonderful. Yeah, we have that Kamala audio for you today. You know, it's Friday here in America. What day is it in Gaza? What day is it in Lebanon? I don't know if you guys have the internet out there. You have the internet? Because the internet comes up with a lot of funny stuff. And this morning I went to the Google machine and I typed CNN exploding, you know, because I'm going to look up something in Lebanon with the exploding pagers, 74 virgins pagers, and then the exploding walkie-talkies, two-way radios, and then the exploding, Motorola, the Motorola thing is turning them into martyrs with Motorola radios, and then the exploding cell phones so that they can't buy electronic equipment from any country on the planet. They're going to have to just depend on themselves for electronic devices, and all they make now is detonators, which is kind of weird. But I typed CNN exploding, and it autofills the word goats. The autofill automatically comes in with goats, you know, and they're not talking about the greatest of all time. They're talking about actual goats, you know, the four-legged mammals that some people in some parts of the world, how do I put this, find very attractive. Just amazing. And there are some crazy stories, but there's a Jake Tapper thing now. I just want to warn you up front because I don't want to misrepresent. It is an AI, an artificial intelligence video that's been placed on Al Gore's Amazing Internet. And they've got Jake Tapper. He's the old, Democrat Capitol Hill staffer and Monica Lewinsky dater. That's how his journalistic career started. And that's perfectly explicable, I think. But mass Hezbollah casualties reported after goats explode. This is the story that is. It's right here on Al Gore's Amazing Internet, and they've got a YouTube posting here of Jake Tapper talking to what is purported to be a CNN reporter in the region. We like to say in the region. They also like to say on the ground, as opposed to where else would you be if you're not on the ground. But they love that on the ground stuff. And so here is Jake Tapper talking to a reporter about what's going on now in Lebanon now that things have gotten really weird. First the pagers, then the two-way radios, then the cell phones, and now hitting them where they live. Know what I mean? Exploding, and where are the explosions coming from? I'll let CNN explain.
Another shocking story coming out of Lebanon that's breaking right now. 2 days ago, pagers belonging to members of Hezbollah were simultaneously detonated. And yesterday, walkie-talkies all over the country began exploding in another wave of what appears to be Israeli retaliations. But just moments ago, in a truly surreal twist, the rectums of goats all over the country exploded at the same time, killing an additional 1,800 people and injuring thousands of others, as well as killing countless goats.
Countless goats. Now you got to be worried about the goats more than the terrorists, I think. But goats all over. It's just amazing. It's a terrible, terrible story. And how the poor goats, let's start with that because, but it does, it turns them into kebabs right away. You just, chunks of charred meat flying through the air. You can just hold up a pointed wooden stick and get your lunch because the exploding goats. It's a step saver, really. And that's they're blaming Israel for the explosive devices and the rectums of the goats, I assume, anyway, because that's the. And if you Google this stuff, that's GTS. If you Google this stuff, then there are some other funny goat stories too. I don't often Google goat stories, but goats are all over California, and firefighters couldn't be happier. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. What is this? In California, things have gotten really weird. There are goats everywhere, and the firefighters couldn't be happier. But the goats are not so happy. The goats are nervous because the firefighters are chasing them around in the tall grass. That's another. California's just getting weirder and weirder, isn't it? I'm telling you. You're a Democrat party. And I don't really think that goat rectums are exploding all over Lebanon. But this AI, and it looks so perfectly realistic. In fact, maybe we should even share it with the nice people on Al Gore's Amazing Internet so that people can share it with their Democrat Party family members and things. The exploding goats. The Democrats, they've become the party of anti-Semites, haven't they? It's kind of sad. And of presidential assassins. Well, they were always the party of presidential assassins, let's be honest. And they become the party of terrorists terrorizing the Supreme Court. Chuck Schumer helped, though. And I helped. Chuck Schumer's out there. You will reap the whirlwind. You will pay the price. Gorsuch. Calls him Gorsuch. And who else did he threaten? He's threatening all. Oh, yeah, Kavanaugh. Of course, it was Kavanaugh. How dare I? So many threats to remember. You're a Democrat party. They're unwell, aren't they?
I want to tell you, Gorsuch. I want to tell you, Kavanaugh. You have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
And they all scream like Arab troops, like attacking the Turkish troop train in Lawrence of Arabia. What is with the Democrat Party? What happened to them? Looting, plundering, shooting. Next thing you know, they're going to be massacring elephants in Zimbabwe. I don't understand Democrats anymore. They used to be comparatively normal. Well, still pretty freaky, but within the parameters of more or less normal. They became a violent terrorist criminal. Well, of course, they were always the party of terrorists, weren't they? they created the White Knights of the Ku Klux Klan, their boy Nathan Bedford Forrest, and they created the Students for a Democratic Society and the Weather Underground, the Weathermen, and the Symbionese Liberation Army, and okay, never mind. They've always been the party of terrorism. And they continue. Let me just say they continue to be the party of terrorism. And don't let them near your goats, for the love of... let's grab another phone call, Michael. Let's go to Marianne, calling from St. Augustine, Florida, listening on the great 102.1 WFOY. Marianne, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hi, Chris. Good morning. Hey, I wanted to thank you for my morning laughter. I laugh forever when you're on in the mornings. But the reason I'm calling is you mentioned 158 Democrats voting against a bill to deport illegals who commit sex crimes.
Yes.
And I went online and I looked that up, and I wanted to know who they were. They're all listed there on www.newsweek.com. And I'm originally a Democrat. I'm no longer a Democrat. I'm originally from Massachusetts, born and raised in Boston. And I was sad to see I counted at least 4 representatives from Massachusetts on the list. And I guess the point I wanted to make was that there was a quote in there from someone named Kamala Jayapal.
Yes.
And she said that they were demonizing illegals and weaponizing, with her own words, she admits in her comment that it is a crime to commit a sexual offense. And she said they're weaponizing immigrants for the crime of sexual offenses. Don't quote me exactly. But she admits in her own words that it's a crime. And I find it appalling, although I shouldn't be appalled by the way things are going lately in our country, that 158 representatives could vote against something that is intended to protect women and children and victims of domestic abuse. So I guess I appreciate you bringing that up. I am a victim of sexual assault, and I see a women's rights being whittled away over and over every day. As you frequently mentioned, they're trying to erase women. They allow men in ladies' locker rooms. They allow men to play on women's sports teams. They allow men to enter into ladies' restrooms. And now it's okay to keep illegals in the country that commit violent crimes against women. So I'm very sorry for the Democratic Party. I used to be a Democrat. I'm not any longer. And thank you for everything you bring to our attention that's very, very important during these times.
Well, thank you. You're very kind. And I'm very happy that you called in. I'm very happy that you escaped Boston for St. Augustine, Florida, that you escaped the Democratic Party for a place that is much more sane and rational and honest and truthful. And you're right, the insane, speaking of insane, Kamala Jayapal, who is one of the squad members, and the squads, they're all anti-American commies and racists and anti-Semites and the mainstream of the Democrat Party. And she accused Republicans of scapegoating immigrants and attempting to weaponize the crime of domestic violence. Attempting to weaponize the crime of domestic violence, she said. Appearing to...
She said she calls it a crime right there.
Right, which she says, and I mean, this is, they're mentally ill. She's clearly mentally ill. But she said, the terrible Republicans are scapegoating immigrants. Not true. And attempting to weaponize the crime of domestic violence is appearing to be a time-honored tradition for Republicans. Well, that is mental. I mean, that just proves how mental she is right there. And, the Democrats are justifying, legitimizing, glossing over all kinds of crimes, sex crimes, domestic violence crimes, illegal entry into the country crimes. And the Democrats are always on the side of the criminals, aren't they, Marianne?
It's unbelievable. I mean, even down here in Florida, I mean, it's a place where it's okay to carry a gun. But that's a whole other issue, how they want to take away your guns and keep you from protecting yourself. And you're afraid if you do, speak up or defend yourself, that you'll be the one that would be arrested. That's the kind of fear they've instilled.
That's exactly right. And they back it up by trying to put the good guy in prison and make sure that the bad guy runs free.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have to keep fighting. Thank God for shows like yours and Bongino and Sean Hannity, who bring out the truth and aren't afraid to speak it. I appreciate your courage and your bravery.
Well, thank you, Marianne. I don't think it's very brave of me. I just, wear body armor, drive in an armored vehicle, and carry a lot of weapons. But that's that's me.
Oh God,
Kamala.
Well, I like your sense of humor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marianne. It makes me very happy to hear that you get a laugh every day, because what's more important than that in these maddening times? Honestly. And Marianne from St. Augustine, wonderful. And it's true, there's a list of the 158 Democrats that voted in favor of illegal alien sexual assault continuing to be rampant in the United States. There were family members up on Capitol Hill earlier this week, surviving family members of the victims of illegal alien crimes, murders and rapes, and the Democrats spit in your face. And these are the electeds, not just the Democrats walking down the sidewalk in Northwest Washington, D.C. It's elected Democrats on Capitol Hill in congressional hearing rooms that spit in your face. It's just extraordinary. These people. Don Beyer, the Democrat congressman from Virginia, voted in favor of sexual assault by illegal aliens. Absolutely amazing. They shouldn't be voted for ever again, and there is an election coming up. But what kind of filth would vote and then come out and spew political rhetoric? Jamal Bowman from New York, he's already lost his primary, so he's going to leave in January. But he voted in favor of sex crimes by illegal aliens. He's, fire alarm Bowman, that's 5-alarm. Corey Bush from Missouri, another radical extremist, racist, anti-American squad member. Just amazing, these people. Andre Carson from Indiana, terrible, horrible Democrat, should be voted out of office on Election Day, no doubt about it. Joaquin Castro from Texas, he voted in favor of sex assault. James Clyburn, one of the big leaders, the Democrat Party, James Clyburn of South Carolina. Emmanuel Cleaver, they're racists, and they voted in favor of more sexual assault by illegal aliens in the United States of America. Aren't they amazing? And the news media just says, well, yeah, sure, of course. No, it's the Republicans. Yeah, right. Veronica Escobar out of Texas, they're not on the side of civilization. They're on the side of Hamas and Iran. Amazing stuff. Pramila Jayapal, of course. Hakeem Jeffries voted in favor of more rape. Hank Johnson. Oh, and wait, speaking of which, we have some Hank Johnson audio for you today on another topic altogether, and that's Donald Trump being a danger to democracy. How many people have to try to assassinate him before the Democrats reel in their commie, murderous, bloodthirsty rhetoric? The answer is like, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? We don't know. We are at 888-630-9625. Yeah, this fake reporter, Olivia Nuzzi, who's having the non-sexual affair with RFK Jr., sure she is. Turns out she's the one that broke into Corey Lewandowski's house when he wasn't home. She's just a good journalist, performing acts of journalistic gratification wherever she goes. But before we get back to her, I'm going to get to her coming up. And the elephant slaughter, I want to get to that as well. But first, let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Rick calling from New York. Ricardo, you're on the Chris Plant Show. Rick in New York.
Yeah, sorry, I had you muted. Sorry. Thank you so much for taking my call.
You bet.
Oh, so I'm from the Caribbean. I'm a Caribbean American.
Uh-huh.
And so I've been embroiled in this discussion regarding the cat-eating story in Springfield. And I know President Trump did not mention Haitians were eating cats. He said the illegal migrants were doing so, and he didn't mention Springfield alone. He mentioned Colorado and the cities and towns across America. But I'm trying to allow this political distraction to become a political attraction. Here's how it can be done, Chris.
Okay.
In 2020, President Trump had scheduled a campaign, a rally for somewhere in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 2020. And it became a great political distraction. And he spun it around to become a political attraction by saying, you know what? Vote me back in office, and I'll make Juneteenth a federal holiday. He turned a distraction into attraction. Joe Biden finally signed it when he came in office. What I'm proposing is this. Why not turn Haiti and the rest of the Caribbean, that these have been left over from colonialism, into an economic opportunity zone? We're today taking all our factories, manufacturing, going to China, shipping them. We talk about global warming and energy efficiency. 7,000 miles shipping products to China to factory, and 7,000 miles coming back to the marketplace. Why not invest this type of economic growth in the Caribbean, right on our doorsteps? We're not coming in as terrorists and rapists and such. We're coming for economic opportunity. Why not extend that opportunities to these leftovers of colonialism and change the narrative? So Haiti, that has been so oppressed for so many years, could become an economic zone. Places like Jamaica and even Cuba in the fullness of time could be converted. And rather than making enemies on our doorsteps, we make friends. And so America's boundary, America's buffer zone of protection is easily extended across all these territories.
Well, very interesting proposal, Rick. I've got to say, Kamala wants to make an opportunity economy, right? They could expand it to the Caribbean.